the fourth stimulus check, and lastly, how states, cities, and counties are pushing to give out rental assistance bigger and faster. Stay tuned for the details. Of course, we have all the best stimulus updates right here on this channel, so definitely keep watching for the latest, most accurate stimulus updates, timelines, and developments. And of course, we also cover all things America, personal finance, stock market updates, and investing. We finally did it. House Democrats just came through and passed the first House vote on the $3.5 trillion budget plan.
And then finally this afternoon, Speaker Pelosi did call for a vote on the big bill, the giant infrastructure bill, the multi-trillion-dollar bill, this huge priority for Democrats and President Biden, what President Biden wants to be his legacy. And she called for that vote this afternoon, and every single House Democrat voted for it. Yes, even the ones who spent the last week saying they were going to. And for all their protest and their red lines and their insistence that they would block this bill if they did not get exactly what they wanted, those 9 conservative Democrats, in the end, got nothing.
I want to thank Speaker Pelosi, who was masterful in her leadership on this.
When Speaker Pelosi walked off the House floor this evening, a CNN reporter caught up with her and asked her about the deal she reached with those 9 conservative Democrats to get them to vote for the bill. Speaker Pelosi responded, quote, "What deal? They wanted clarification about how we go forward, and that's what we did." Oh, you think I had to do a deal with them? Oh, that's cute.
That's right, guys. Nancy Pelosi came through and she clarified the deal with the 9 House moderates holding out on the major reconciliation bill. So, together with passing this first vote to start work on the $3.5 trillion budget deal, the House also has a standing promise to take up the Senate-passed bipartisan $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill by September 27th. From here, committee chairmen begin working on relevant parts of the gigantic spending package to report back to House Budget Committee Chairman John Yarmuth by September 15th. The budget panel would then package everything together and prepare it for a floor vote when the chamber is scheduled to return to Washington in late September. Now, according to Yarmuth, some parts of the $3.5 trillion plan will be relatively easy to do since those programs already exist, like Medicare benefits and those family tax credits, I guess. But what's going to take them some time here would probably be the parts that are more challenging to craft, because you have nothing structurally to use to implement it. One example is the new Universal Child Care Program. Drop a quick comment down below about the stimulus that you're most excited about here. Are you guys good with all this? Or are you still holding out for that 4th stimulus check like me? Let me hear you guys down in the comments below. And just to be clear, there is a lot to get excited about regarding this $3.5 trillion package already, especially when it comes to stimulus money in our pocket. But let's take a look. So for healthcare, expand at-home care for older adults and people with disabilities. Reduce drug prices. Allow more people to qualify for healthcare coverage under the Affordable Care Act, both through subsidizing private insurance and through Medicaid. Calls for Medicare to cover dental, hearing, and vision. Original Medicare consists of Part A, hospital coverage, and Part B, outpatient care coverage. Except for limited exceptions, there's really no coverage related to dental, vision, or hearing. They're looking at lowering the eligibility age. Some are saying 60 years old, and others are saying Medicare for all, but we're still looking into that one. They're still working on this right now, but if we have a look at some similar proposals, we may get a clue as to what is to come. A House bill introduced in July by Representative Lloyd Doggett of Texas would include things such as dentures, preventative and emergency dental care, refractive eye exams and eyeglasses, and hearing aids and exams. There was also this one broader healthcare related bill that cleared the House in 2019, but was not taken up by the Senate. Under that proposals, beneficiaries would have chipped in the standard 20% for some dental coverage. Major treatments, for example, bridges, crowns, root canals, would have cost more. Dentures also would have been covered within limits. Now, aside from that, they also included routine eye and hearing exams, as well as hearing aids, contact lenses, and eyeglasses. For families, paid sick and medical leave, extend several tax credits that benefit low and middle income families, and especially those with children. That would be the child tax credit, earned income tax credit, and the child and dependent care tax credit. Now, we've all heard about these juicy child tax payments of $250 to $300 a month. But aside from that, people also got up to $1,000 a month in earned income tax credits for individuals. Comment down below if you're receiving the $250 to $300 per month child tax credit. We may also be seeing this growing even bigger with the $3.5 trillion stimulus package. Representative Gwen Moore recently reintroduced her proposal to expand and modernize the earned income tax credit. Now, according to the proposal's text, it says that the maximum credit for single filers would rise to $4,000 and married filers would receive a maximum credit of $8,000. And much like the child tax credit, the earned income tax credit would churn out monthly payments under this proposal. Now, according to the text, the WRCR Act includes an option for recipients to receive 75% of their estimated credit monthly. Taxpayers may elect to receive payments by direct deposit, low-fee debit card, or check. Pretty nice, right? There's also climate change, consumer rebates to encourage clean energy and weatherization in homes. Now, this is a good one that many other channels are not catching. One similar local program provided moderate income households 50% of their project costs back, up to $4,000 or up to $2,000 for higher income households. There's also rebates for air sealing and insulating their attic or basement. For moderate income customers, a $500 incentive is available per area up to $1,000. Higher income households are eligible for a $250 incentive per area up to $500. Now we can finally get those roofs fixed like you guys have been saying in the comments. A tax increase on high income earners and corporations, higher taxes for people who make more than $400,000 per year, increase funding to the IRS to boost tax enforcement, remove tax provisions that incentivize outsourcing jobs to other countries. Now, like I've been saying, these wealth and corporate tax hikes will really enable more stimulus for us, and I'm betting that if they eventually pass this, then they will finally have the wiggle room to add more stimulus into the package, including that fourth stimulus check. And we definitely have some great Congress proposals for the fourth stimulus check and even recurring stimulus checks. We have Representative Ilhan Omar's proposal for a federal guaranteed basic income program. Now, this means a countrywide program that will give up to $1,200 per month for adults and $600 per month for kids. Now, that is a big undertaking, so if we want to kind of scale it down, we could look into the more focused Automatic Boost to Communities Act. This is coming from Representative Rashida Tlaib, which would give out $2,000 fourth stimulus checks and follow up with $1,000 monthly stimulus checks until after it's over. Then there's the sweeping House Resolution to End Poverty Act from Representatives Pramila Jayapal and Barbara Lee. Now, this includes stimulus checks via cash assistance programs, in addition to minimum wage increases. Might not quite be $15 per hour, somewhere between $11 and $13 per hour. There would also likely be the expanded unemployment insurance, canceling of unpayable debt, affordable and public housing, and free education. So it is very clear that we are not running out of options for a fourth stimulus check here. And I definitely think that this is the Democrats' game to lose, especially since it's a matter of getting on board all of their political sub-parties, the progressives and the centrists. And very hopeful on this is House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer. He said, yes, we have differences. Yes, we have different perspectives. And we're a big tent party. And we represent different areas of the country. But we have been able to come together and pass things that we wanted to pass. That doesn't mean that everybody's euphoric, but it does mean that everybody has the confidence that we're moving ahead on our priorities. One centrist that we're watching out for is Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Visiting Tucson on Tuesday, Kyrsten Sinema told reporters that she would not support the spending plan. I've said several times I do not support a $3.5 trillion package, but I am interested and willing, as everyone knows, to work in a bipartisan way and to work with my colleagues in both the administration, House and Senate to find a package that is right for the Arizona families. But I think really hitting the nail on the head here is Senate Budget Chair and a big supporter of the bill, Senator Bernie Sanders. According to a tweet from Bernie Sanders, he says, unless we pass the reconciliation bill, seniors won't get dental, vision, hearing, and home care, drug prices will soar, families will be denied $300 a month per kid, climate change will worsen, families won't receive child care and affordable housing, no reconciliation, no deal. This came directly from Senator Bernie Sanders' Twitter page. So as simple as that, guys, you guys may have noticed the word reconciliation there. That just means that the Democrats are going to run with this bill with just their 50 votes plus Vice President Kamala Harris's tiebreaker vote. Now, this is because they're probably not going to get any votes from the Republicans. And remind you, the Republicans also used this same method before.
You complain about process when you're losing. Now, the Democratic leader has indicated that in a few days he will thrust the Senate into an ultra-partisan showdown.
This looks like a situation when you're in the minority, you like the process, but when you're in the majority, you move on.
Not true.
Some of my Republican friends will say, well, that's such a bad idea. Why aren't you more bipartisan in terms of reconciliation? I would remind my Republican colleagues that they didn't have a problem with reconciliation when they gave almost $2 trillion in tax breaks for the very richest people in this country and the largest corporations.
Senate Republicans passed the largest change to the U.S. tax code in 30 years.
It was pretty clear during this debate, we have a very different view of what America ought to look like.
No problem doing that. They didn't have a problem with reconciliation when they tried to throw 30 million people off of the health care they had.
I and many of my colleagues did as we promised and voted to repeal this failed law.
And it's another embarrassing defeat for Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who's now tried and failed twice to follow through on a 7-year campaign promise.
So they have used reconciliation, and we will use it. Except we're going to use it to protect ordinary Americans, the children, the elderly, the sick, and the poor, rather than just the very wealthy or the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, it's definitely about time for reconciliation to work for the American people, right? And speaking of working for the American people, has any rental assistance gotten to you guys yet? The latest Treasury numbers are in, and shockingly, only about 10% of rental assistance funds have actually gone out to the people. That's right, guys. 89% of the federal rental assistance remains unspent as the potential eviction crisis looms. The Treasury Department on Wednesday released updated payout figures that show states and cities distributed $1.7 billion to landlords and renters in July, not far from the $1.5 billion distributed in June. All told, states and cities spent $5.2 billion out of $46.5 billion in rental relief from the 2 rescue packages beginning in December. That accounts for about 11% of the total fund so far. Now, naming some of the reasons here, there are lengthy procurement processes with third-party vendors, malfunctioning computer systems, and difficult documentary requirements. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that the money was designed to be distributed over 3 years. We didn't anticipate that all of the funding would be out in the course of 9 months. It's not, and we still think that it should be faster. Now, they could definitely be a lot faster here, especially with the eviction moratorium ending very soon. The latest eviction moratorium expires in October 3rd, and according to the U.S. Census Bureau's Household Pulse survey, 1 of 6 renters is expected to be behind on their rent. And that's why all the offices and departments are working overtime on this one. The Treasury Department is trying to make it easier by instituting friendlier guidelines. That includes allowing applicants to self-attest rather than providing documents to prove their financial hardship, risk of homelessness, or housing instability, and income. States and cities can also partner with nonprofits to offer advance money to households at risk of evictions and make additional payments to landlords who take on tenants facing major barriers to secure a lease. Check out the full list of rental assistance programs through the NLIHC ERA website. Just type in NLIHC ERA on Google or any other browser and website. It should be the first one that comes up. But let me know if you've gotten any rental assistance in your area. Tell us all about it in the comments. More on this and other very helpful stimulus programs out there. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care and be safe. On the next one. Take care and be safe. On the next